What had the Lady Jessica to sustain her in her time of trial? Think you carefully on this Bene Gesserit proverb, and perhaps you will see. Any road followed precisely to its end leads precisely nowhere. Climb the mountain just a little bit to test that it's a mountain. From the top of the mountain, you cannot see the mountain. In the universe of Frank Herbert's Dune, the Sisterhood of the Bene Gesserit stands as one of the most powerful and influential organizations of mankind's interstellar empire. To meet the goals of their long-running breeding and genetics program, they have been sifting humans to find those who can rise above their basic primal instincts. They believe that those who can harness and manipulate every fiber of their being have the key to controlling their reality, and ultimately, the universe. How the members of this mysterious order wield their tremendous power is one of the most fascinating elements of Frank Herbert's legendarium. In this video, I'd like to discuss the Bene Gesserit Lady Jessica and examine how she wields her potent abilities to reveal where her true power lies. When the story of Dune begins, we are introduced to Lady Jessica, concubine to Duke Leto of House Atreides, mother of the ducal heir, Paul. As a Bene Gesserit, Jessica has been trained to hone every nerve and muscle. She is able to regulate her blood flow, heart rate, body temperature, and level of consciousness. Jessica's Bene Gesserit ability that proves most crucial to the Sisterhood's multi-generational breeding program is her power over conception and her capacity to decide the sex of her offspring. However, instead of being a willing tool in the Sisterhood's schemes, Jessica has done the unthinkable, acting independently of the order by disobeying her directive to bear only daughters to Leto. Motivated by her love for the Duke, she instead uses her powers of fertility control to give birth to a son. Jessica was specifically bred and raised by the Sisterhood to pass on the necessary genetic traits that would one day see the birth of a super being with a mind powerful enough to bridge space and time. While her disobedience endangered the Bene Gesserit's plans, she still sensed the possibility of producing this super being. Jessica's unique abilities were on full display after House Atreides was ordered by imperial decree to oversee spice harvesting operations on Arrakis. To ensure their survival as they stepped into this obvious trap, Jessica was forced to utilize every bit of her Bene Gesserit training to prepare her son to face the destiny within his DNA and to carry on the legacy of House Atreides. After their arrival on Dune, Lady Jessica proved herself to be a master of the art of observation and analysis, as she identified and made use of the messianic prophecies and myths implanted by the Sisterhood on the planet. Soon after House Atreides traveled to Arrakis, rumors of the arrival of a Messiah had swiftly begun to circulate among the locals. Demonstrating caution and subtlety with the Fremen, Jessica acquired the information needed to identify the specific nature and depth of the implanted myths and legends. She listened, observed, and learned how best to proceed in order to open the way to receive a protected status among the Fremen should the need arise. Jessica is a clever conversationalist. Every word she utters is given careful thought. When speaking with the Fremen, she stayed silent at the right moments as she allowed them to come to their own conclusions regarding the potential fulfillment of the initial parts of their paradisaic prophecy. While making cautious use of the religious fervor of the Fremen, Lady Jessica also utilized her powers of perception and extensive espionage training to navigate the complex political landscape surrounding the Atreides. With her seemingly superhuman awareness and ability to determine a person's root language through voice inflection and speech pattern, she was able to easily identify a Guild Bank representative as a Harkonnen agent. It was as obvious to her as if he had formally announced himself as such. Jessica's investigative prowess and powers of logic even proved to surpass that of one of the finest mentats in the known universe. Famous for his renowned skills and feared by the Emperor himself, Thufir Hawat, Atreides' mentat master of assassins, suspected Lady Jessica of being a traitor. While it's true that there was a traitor in their midst, a significant element of the conspiracy against House Atreides was the effort to weaken them from within by making the Duke's Bene Gesserit concubine appear as a possible suspect. Lady Jessica faced the scrutiny of the Atreides mentat while conducting her own investigation to determine whether or not he himself was a Harkonnen agent. During their tense interchange and battle of wits, Jessica proved herself logically superior to the renowned mentat as she confirmed her innocence and demonstrated her power of the voice, showing Thufir her ability to bend anyone to her command. And yet, this demonstration of control over others was just a small glimpse into her arsenal of Bene Gesserit tricks, a glimpse that few survive. Her own array of powerful abilities, as well as her efforts to train Paul in the ways of the Bene Gesserit, enabled them to escape the overwhelming Harkonnen assault on Arrakis, as they fled into the deep desert, the home of the giant sandworms and the mighty Fremen warriors. Those who become leaders among the Fremen do so not only by demonstrating an intimate knowledge of the desert and survival techniques, but also in trial by combat, as each Naib proves themselves to be the strongest warrior in their tribe. When the Fremen came upon the Atreides, the Naib Stilgar had agreed to provide refuge for the boy Paul, as he was still young enough to be trained in the ways of desert survival. But Jessica, on the other hand, was perceived as a liability that the tribe couldn't afford. Jessica proved her combat prowess by besting Stilgar, and consequently earned a place of refuge in the tribe and the Naib's respect, paving the way for her to become a spiritual leader among their people. She would go on to achieve the status of Reverend Mother in a Fremen practice very similar to the Bene Gesserit's own ritual. In this ceremony, Jessica demonstrated the utmost control over body and mind as she ingested a lethal poison and rendered it harmless with her internal powers of organic chemical control. This only added to the Fremen's faith in the fulfillment of prophecy. Jessica proved herself incredibly resilient, and she endured many trials and hardships on the deadly desert world with powerful forces conspiring against her family. She masterfully demonstrated the ways in which the Bene Gesserit had moved past the crutch of technology and the great lengths in which they had expanded natural human potential. Although her abilities were formidable in of themselves, they were made even more effective by the cunning and wise application of her extensive knowledge. She diligently relied on her powers of observation, dealing with each trial as it arrived, rarely overwhelmed or distracted by the many uncertainties of the future. She kept her focus on the journey rather than the destination. Thus, it can be said that Jessica's true power was revealed through the perceptive and judicious manner in which she thoughtfully employed her extraordinary talents. That being said, although Jessica stands as one of the most powerful and influential beings in the known universe, she remains refreshingly human. She is subject to frailties and mistakes, finding herself unable to stop the threats against her family. Her tremendous power couldn't shield her beloved Duke from meeting his demise, nor could it eliminate her regrets when she was faced with the consequences of her actions, particularly when it came to the tragedy of her daughter Aaliyah. Many feel that these human traits and weaknesses are the biggest part of what makes Jessica so relatable and one of the best written characters in Dune. But I'm curious to know what you think of Lady Jessica. Is there a particular quality or aspect of her character that stands out to you? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you did, and be sure to subscribe for more Dune and other sci-fi and fantasy news and lore. Thank you all so much for your support, and as always, have a very nerdy day.